Hello, everybody. I hope the sound is good. I hope you all doing well. I'm very excited about tonight having Yara over. First of all, the true reason I'm excited is because she's so pretty. The second reason is
Thank
because
you,
she has
Rebecca.
such an important story to tell. And when something that is so important and so must be heard, when it's packaged nicely, it's palatable. So I just share a little bit of your story right now, if you could, just for people to understand like why it's so important to hear you out
Yes, of course.
and
So
not
my
just
name is
look.
yeah. My name is Yara, and I'm originally a Druze from Sweden, but I was born and raised in Norway. And about 5 months ago, when the massacre in Sweden took place, 14th of July, I lost my brother, who was there on a vacation to meet his girlfriend. Um, but my story isn't a nice or a fantastic story or one of a kind. She lost her brother by terrorists. Terrorists killed her brother because there are thousands of stories like mine. So that's why I took the opportunity to go out in public and talk about my story, but also my brother Nasser's story and how he got murdered or killed by the Syrian government, who's currently slaughtering everyone who's not Muslim. So that's me.
No, okay, everybody. I thank you, everyone who is here. I hope Mansoor will join us soon. But before we dive into your story, I want to tell to everyone. I wanted to just say what I think a lot of us feel. I feel like we are tired. In general, a lot of us are tired from geopolitics, from complexities, from fighting, from hearing like devastating news all the time. And I feel like what it happens is that throughout Europe, America, Israel, there is a lot of focus on gossip right now and inner fighting and things that are incredibly unproductive. And I understand where it stems from. I think it stems from the fact that we're just people get to a point where they cannot deal with reality anymore. So they try to escape in different ways and forms and into gossip, into things that are a bit more palatable, into Cat and Sons this, Cat and Sons that, or Erica Kirk. And they're all wonderful and beautiful, but in the end of the day, this is just a distraction from the reality we're living through right now, and the fact that we are globally, we need to step up and understand that we cannot afford right now to lose focus. Unfortunately, it's a privilege, and it's a privilege that we must start thinking seriously about how to solve the issues we are facing, economic or geopolitical, China, Taiwan, whatever it is, Islam, obviously. And I just wanted, before we dive into everything, to just collectively like take a breath and just and be ready for war, because you guys know that I always ask you to do whatever you can to spread the message and to think what you could do in your area or in your sphere of influence to join us in our fight, because this is reality. This is life, death. This is what we should be focusing on. And the gossip is more fun, is more easy, but I would love to make it clear that this is not something we can unfortunately
Escape.
lose. Yeah.
Yeah. Or escape from, and especially that part where you mentioned, escaping from reality. For me, for example, when I first received the news that my brother died or got killed, um, I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out how, and I didn't want to realize that he was dead. So I tried to escape reality, and even though the terrorists that came into Sweden and killed him and sent us footage of his body and what they did to him. Even though I saw the photos, or my sister actually saw the photos, I couldn't stand the thought of seeing them. I didn't want to realize, and for 2 or 3 weeks I tried to escape reality, try to say no, he's probably been taken as a hostage, he's probably hiding somewhere, he's not dead, you know.
Mm.
And that was escaping reality. And that's what a lot of us do, even regular people, someone who hasn't experienced loss, great loss, or whatever, people who just read the news, see all the terrible things that, for example, in the Middle East, that Islam is doing, and tries to escape it and say, but it's far away, it wouldn't, make an impact on us in Europe, even though it
Right.
already have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but for us,
So, yeah.
for the Druze and the Druze and the Jews and the Christians and the Alawites and the Kurds in the Middle East, there's no way for us to escape reality or, neglect the reality and be passive and not fight and take a break. Because it's either fighting or death. There's no pathway in between.
Oh, I have one question. Maybe I hope it's not too private. Did you get the body?
Actually, no, we didn't get the
Yeah.
body. So what we heard and what they did, what the Syrian security forces did when they came into Sweden and slaughtered over 4,000 people in just 5 days, the bodies they took with them, or the ones that died in their hostages or on the way to Damascus and Idlib and Deraa, they didn't bury. Either they burned the bodies or dumped them someplace.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did to my brother's body was to bury him in a graveyard in Damascus. They called it the graveyard for the unknown or the foreign, the ones that
Mm.
are far away. Even though he was born and raised in Syria, they make it sound like the Druze and the Christians are foreigners, not
Yeah,
from Syria, that they're the intruders.
it's crazy.
So that's what they did to their bodies.
By the way, like, because the story that you told in the beginning, right, when you were for 3 weeks, or like maybe he was kidnapped, maybe. I just wanted to take a moment as like, a lot of people ask themselves, like, why do Jews, like, why do they obsess so much about getting back bodies? And this is why, right? People want to have that closure of that story, to know where the person rests, and that they're at rest, and to have that, confidence.
Closure, just
Yeah,
closure to know where,
exactly.
and also visit, in the future, visit the grave where the body is buried.
So how did you come to that closure with yourself? Like, how did you find that?
Well, actually, it was because of the photo my family saw. Because
Right.
first, when they came in and killed everyone, they came in on 13th of July. And at that time, I was in contact with my brother. He lived in the UAE, so he weren't a citizen of Sweden. He was only there to see his girlfriend. But yeah, and then I was in contact with him. But on 14th of July, approximately at 3 or 4 o'clock, I lost contact with him. And then we didn't hear from him in several days. And everyone said that, okay, he's dead. He's been killed. And there were so many stories because, there were his cousins, some of his cousins managed to survive. They were with him. They were in a village protecting Sueira, actually. Um, and some of his cousins managed, or friends managed to, um, I don't know how, there were a lot of misunderstandings, but we managed to contact them and they told us that, yeah, he's dead. They killed him. We saw the drone attacking him and his cousin. So everyone thought that okay, he's dead. But I still needed closure, to see proof, to know that he's actually been murdered. And so it went on like this, without living in a bubble, I don't know, from the outside world, for 2 or 3 weeks. And after that, we managed to contact one doctor in Damascus where his body were taken. And he sent us the photos, actually. I can't say his name because, apparently there are still some good people out in Syria. He was Christian though, the doctor. So, and then he sent us the photo of Nasir, not with a name tag or anything, but with a number. Just like they do to dogs and animals at the veterinarian. And after we saw the photo, or my sister saw the photo, and you could only see half of his face, I realized the reality, realized what I've lost.
So, what made you? By the way, Mansoor is waiting on the line.
Yeah,
So,
you can invite him
add
in.
him. But let me ask you this question, and then I'm gonna add you because I wonder, like, how do you switch from grief to war? That's my question to you, and I'm gonna add Mansoor for a second. Then,
Yeah.
Hello, ladies.
Hi,
hello,
how are
hello.
you?
I'm great. I'm great, and I'm sorry to break in the middle of the story, which I think is an important story to share with the world. But Rebecca, I got a few minutes, and then I gotta jump out, and I'm gonna give you some breaking news here, and then I gotta go to
Okay,
my
okay,
own
okay.
channel because I gotta make a video about it. So I don't know if people heard, but right now there was a suicide bombing attack in Syria, killing American soldiers, 3 officers, injuring many more. Now, this attack, killing American soldiers in Syria, happened when the Americans decided for the first time to do a military meeting with the Syrian military. They've been meeting with the Druze for years, nothing happened. Met with the Kurds, nothing happened. Met with Israel, obviously. First time they meet with the army of Al Jawlani, the guy that they invited to the White House to give him golden perfumes. And a general, let me show you a picture. I don't know if I can add a picture here,
I think you
but
can.
there's a picture where you see a circle around the guy's head. You can add it. I can't add it.
Which
You need to
one?
add
With
it.
the one, this one,
Yes.
or
So
There.
this guy who
Mhm.
is a general in the army of Jolani. Show the next picture. We can see him. He's part of his personal security, his personal general. There's another picture with a circle. Show the other one.
Oh my
This
God.
guy, this guy, guys, is a general. He's the one in charge of that region. He's the one that invited the American soldiers. Come, so let's meet, let's talk, let's do a military to military strategy. How are we going to combat ISIS? Because Syria has been telling America, no, we're not ISIS, but they are ISIS. And then ISIS, who's telling you we're not ISIS, invites you to combat ISIS. And what does he do? He goes inside the meeting, shouts Allah Akbar, blow himself up, suicide, I mean, kill many people around. And then this is what the Syrians are doing, guys. Show the video here. Pick anyone that looks like a chat message. Anyone. There's like dozens of them. This is the official Telegram website of the Syrian army. I have people, don't ask me who, that are in that Telegram. Now they're gonna panic right now when they hear, oh my God, there's people that are not part of the army inside the Telegram, who are screen picturing right now the official Telegram of the Syrian Defense Force is publishing baklawas. We
Yeah,
just
they're
killed
Yeah,
Americans,
celebrating.
I know.
celebrating.
It's
Now
like
go to,
Eid for them.
it's a Eid, same thing. They tricked the Americans. They're laughing in your face. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable how the Americans are falling for this. Go now to another, the black one. There's a black one with Donald Trump in it, like another text message. That's a
This
shop
one?
selling
Oh
ISIS
my
Right.
God.
flags in Syria. That's a
Look
shop.
at
They're
that.
celebrating
Look
it.
at that.
Go
Okay,
to the
this one,
one,
right?
yes. So here, this is the official news of Syria. The Telegram of the Syrian news. Look how many subscribers. 200,000.
Yeah.
They posted a picture. People are celebrating. Look at the icons, the emojis down there. Hearts, confettis, mind-blowing. So the Syrians are celebrating that they tricked the Americans. Now, let me get something straight here. For the Americans to understand, guys, we've been warning you for so long. Israel has been warning you. The Druze have been warning you. The Kurds have been warning you. But you keep telling us, guys, you don't know what you're talking about. Stop it. Israel, pull back. Don't do anything about it. Let us handle this. You've been sold. You've been sold from
Exactly.
inside.
Exactly.
Because the Arabs are not hiding. They're telling you what they want to do with you. So your people are the one trying to lie to you. Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Nick Fontes, all telling you that Israel is the bad guys and that these guys are good. You got it all wrong. So you've been sold. Your own people are lying to you. And what they're doing is America comes, remove sanctions from Syria, give them money, invite their leaders to the White House. How do they repay them? The first chance they had. Suicide bombing, blowing themselves, celebrating, doing baklawas, sending knafe to one another. I don't know what. You can't hide this. It's important to expose this before they delete this. This is happening right now. And let me show you actually a video. Here's a crazy video. I'm going to upload it right now.
What is this last one?
Yeah, that's the
shows,
footage
yes.
show the U.S. patrol made up at least 5 vehicles shortly before it came under attack today in the town there.
You know
I
what's
added
crazy
the-
to me? Then what you're saying, this person is a higher up, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's a commander.
he's like the general.
But he
He's like the
blew
general.
Yeah,
himself up.
general.
I
Yeah,
thought they
he's the-
sent the
He's the one that
because I
invited them
thought
for the
they
meeting.
sent they brainwash others like that they
No,
this
no.
poor like
No,
kids to blow themselves up.
that's the thing with Islamists. You know, it doesn't matter if they're in the lower class and the higher class. If they're doctors, engineers, they all have the same DNA, the same blood, the same mindset to go and kill the kuffars. You know, which are the Americans, for example, in this case.
Yeah. By the way, I see in the comments here, Uncle Coping, I've never removed you from being a moderator on my channel. Someone did that in my absence, and I keep forgetting. Contact me so I can remove that removal, just to keep that. That's talking to the people here, the followers.
Yeah.
Now, here is something that is happening that is just...
Should I add the video?
Yes.
One second.
Now, you see, in this
Stop it for
video,
a sec.
by the way, look at the date. This is today.
Right.
A general from the Syrian army on uniform goes on the podium, this, Imam Muslim kind of podium, and starts celebrating the killing of Americans. Meanwhile, in America, they tell you that Syria is not an enemy anymore. Ahmed al-Shara is a good guy. Let's invite him to the White House. I won't be surprised if they will nominate him for a Nobel Prize.
Yeah, for real though.
They're literally cheating the American people, and now people paid their lives. American citizens have paid their life because people in America are hiding from them the truth in Syria. It's not hard to get that, guys. Israel's been telling you, the Kurds have been telling you, the Druze have been telling you, the Christians have been telling you, the Yazidis have been telling you, anyone with half a brain. Look at the last 20 videos on my YouTube channel. I'm not kidding. The last 20 videos, at least 12 of them, I've been telling you. Wake up, wake up. Something is happening in Syria. Something is happening in Syria. Look what you're doing. Are you lost your mind? You lost your mind? No, you guys don't know. You guys don't know. Let us deal with it. That's what happened. First military correspondent meeting together. The first one between the ISIS government and the American, soldiers. They say the Syrian government. It's not. Insane, guys. It's just insane.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's very important to be precise and say that
I get
it's
it because
not
I have my
malicious. It's not, foreign fighters that did this. It's the actual Syrian regime or the ISIS regime.
Yeah. I always get these news before everyone because I get it sent to me by the Syrian themselves. So usually I'll get it, and then like a few hours later.
Okay, Mansour and Yara. Mansour, you get news from inside, right? That means there are some traitors. And Yara, I've heard from you that I heard your interviews before, and your experience is that basically the Arabs, the Muslims are aligned when it comes to, right? Not everybody's participating, but people go against you in
Yeah,
general, like,
exactly.
and that's what I also see. Like, that's what I also like experience in my own, like the Syrians. Like, one person wasn't like that. It was behind the scenes, but in general. So I kind of want to hear like, what's your estimate, Mansour, and what would you like compare to Yara's like impression, where it's just that they're all aligned on that, right? Where it's like,
Well, I'll explain to you this. There's no unity among the wicked.
oh my,
So the fact that they hate one another does not mean that they love you. A lot of
right,
people hate Ahmed al-Shara right now in Syria because they believe that he's not radical enough. A lot of people
Yeah.
hate this government because they feel that they're not killing enough Druze or Christians. So there's a lot of incentives from inside to come and, destroy their own. It's just it's a culture of hatred. It's a literally Syria is a jihadist land full of wicked, radical jihadists, like radical on steroids. So they don't like each other. They betray each other all the time. Same like Hamas. I mean, look what's happening right now. A lot of people that are helping Israel fight Hamas in Gaza are not necessarily friends of Israel. 80% of them still want
right.
to repeat October
Yeah.
7.
Yes,
So
of
the fact
course.
that there's traitors, it doesn't mean that they love us. It just doesn't mean that there's
So
no
the people
unity
who are
among the
reporting
wicked.
to you, so
People are
those who are
reporting to
reporting
me
to
or
you,
sending it. Yeah, they just want to expose.
they're just as evil. What you're saying, they just want
Most of them,
the
yeah, yeah.
their competition out.
Yeah, yeah. Most of them,
Like,
undoubtedly, yes. I do know that there is people in Syria that don't wish for this version of Syria, but most of them are ex-Muslims.
Yes,
They used to be,
that's true.
and then
mhm,
they
mhm.
can't admit it because they will get, massacred in the street. But
Right,
anyway,
and
ladies, I
how,
have to jump back.
right.
I'm gonna leave you. I just came in, dropped this bomb. I'm gonna leave you out. Keep the
All
Yeah, it's
right,
talk.
thank
okay,
you,
God
Mansour.
Master.
bless both of
Thank you
you.
for the.
No,
Thank you
thank you.
so
Good
Yes,
to
much.
see
bye
you,
bye.
Yara. Good to see you. Say hi
You
to your
too,
sister and to
Mansoor.
your mother. Say hi to your family.
I
Yalla
will.
bye.
You too. Bye bye.
مع السلامة.
مع السلامة.
Yeah, so okay, it removed
Yeah,
all his files with him.
yeah,
I
it's
yeah,
okay. I think
100%.
we've understand. I understood
Yeah,
his
it's
point,
interesting,
and
but now I'm kind of had one more question about like what are the
yeah,
apostasy rates, right? But but I guess we got an answer, right? So here's the answer:
yeah,
is like, okay, how do you get intelligence even though they're like, it seems like they're all aligned? Easy, because they are all aligned. It's just that they have a faction between
yeah,
them. That's wow. That's like that's
exactly.
sad, actually,
Yeah.
pretty sad,
So they do hate each other, the
right?
Muslims in the Muslim Ummah or whatever you call it. They hate each other and one another, but they have a mutual enemy. And it's
Right.
more important to them to defeat this mutual enemy, which are anyone who's outside the religion.
Yeah. So actually, it's like how do you even explain it, right, to someone who is not from the Middle East, that you can actually have a 99.9% of a population being celebratory when it comes to genocide happening, when it comes to slaughter, like in the worst kind of slaughter. Like, did you get to a situation where you try to explain it?
Well, I tried, but for the person who hasn't experienced the loss of someone or even been to the Middle East and seen what these monsters are capable of, they can't truly understand. Like they try to imagine, but the actual reality doesn't really hit them. And that's very dangerous, especially for those, for example, here in Europe. They can't imagine and understand how evil and demonic these people from the Middle East, from the Arab world is. And
Right.
that's dangerous because they're letting them into their country.
Yeah. So one of the things that I heard you say is, can you tell your experience living in Norway, right? With
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Well, It's been hard the last previous months, obviously, and shocking as well, because as I said, I was born and raised here, um, never really experienced something that threatening in Europe, in Norway, which is, one of the safest countries in the world. Um, so when this happened, when the massacre in Sweden took place, no one knew about it except Syrians, and there are a lot of Syrians, Sunni Syrians here in Norway and Oslo. And then I got so provoked from the massacre and everything that happened that I was stupid enough to go around with this necklace in the streets everywhere, in public, and also sometimes when I speak in Arabic with my mom, you can hear that I'm a Druze because of the dialect. It's different from other Syrians. So yeah, I went openly around in public wearing the star and talking in Arabic with my dialect. And then first I just started to hear comments, oh, look at that pig, look at that kafir, um, look at that whore, all these types of comments.
Which
And
I feel like at this point, everybody in the West should know to understand, like, what is kafir, what is hanzir, what is,
yeah,
I don't know,
really,
I saw that word, but
yeah,
it's like
they
just from the moment you hear it, you understand what's going on. Like, I
yes,
think it's,
of course, it's so normalized to hear that and to say it for those jihadists here in Europe. But then I wasn't capable of talk back. I was already in one of the lowest points in my life, so I wasn't able to talk back, and I didn't care. They could talk.
yeah.
They could talk and say whatever they want. Okay. But then, because the massacre happened in the summer break, and then university started in August. And I'm a medical student, and I'm only 19 years old, so it was my first year at university. And then I walked with this Drew star in the hallways, and started to hear, in Arabic they say, Yalla al jihad. It means,
So
okay,
here's
come on,
the thing: if
summon
somebody
the
is a
jihad.
yalla al jihad, come on, somebody doesn't understand. Like, can you? At this point,
Yeah,
even an average Western should understand yalla al jihad. Like, literally, like, it's like intern. It's like saying television.
yeah,
In every
yeah,
country, it's
really,
television.
really. Even though it's an Arabic word, everyone now understands it.
Yeah.
So jihad means to, in Islam, jihad means to go to war and kill the non-Muslim. Because in their eyes, one that is not Muslim uh, is a kuffar or kafir, and that means basically someone who needs to be killed, and not just killed with a gunshot or anything like that, or in an accident. Killed means slaughtering.
Yeah.
So you the more pain you cause to the person you're supposed to kill, the higher are the chances to get into heaven, or Jannah, as they say.
Wha-
So that's jihad.
Yeah, it's here's like my biggest comment. Yeah, right, Shana, like hit the like nailing the like the people of the West know, but they're incapacitated. Like, the reason I say it is like, it's like I imagine you getting those slurs, right, thrown at you. In a sense, I would imagine that the reason I mentioned that, it's like, it was so, it is such, it's words that everybody's supposed to know what it means now. It means, like, did people hear it? Or like,
Well, yeah, people did hear. But the problem, I think that there were several groups, I didn't know who they were because it was my first day and first week at the university, and then I just saw these bunch of groups, mostly girls or women wearing hijab, or from bottom to top, everything covered. Um, and then they started to say Yalla jihad, or you pig, or that I deserve to be taken as a sex slave, which the
Yeah.
woman, which more than 200 women and children from Sweden have been taken as. And also calling me, they started coming up with new phrase because, the Jews have a good relationships throughout history. And also now, Israel is the only one that saved Sweden. So then they start to call me, Jewish Druze pig.
Yeah.
So yeah, things like that, and telling me that I'm not safe here in Norway, that they're going to come for me and my family. And I obviously got scared because usually I'm a type of girl that talk back, aren't scared, but of these people, the same
Yeah. No.
jihadists that killed my brother and many of my family members, and that are here in Norway, I get scared because I've seen the statistics. I've seen the amounts of cases they have built up. I'm talking about criminality, crimes, and all that stuff. And it's so disappointing that the Europeans are taking their sides and letting them commit these types of crimes.
Yeah. Did you? Can you? Is there someone you can complain to, like the university, the
Well, I
police?
did. I did talk to the university and also the police, but the problem
Mm-hmm.
is that if you don't have proof, they won't do anything about it. So if I
Right.
remembered their faces, I could tell them, okay, it was her and him. But it's
Okay.
her, it's mine word against hers.
Right.
And the police and the Norwegian government have already proven that they will take the jihadist side, not mine, not the
Right.
one that has throughout her whole life followed the rules, followed the laws, studying medicine, becoming a doctor, trying to provide and help the Norwegian society, and have ever since I've worked, and also my parents who have been here more than 40 years
Mm.
have been paying their taxes and being, loyal citizens. They won't side with us or side with what's right. I don't care if I'm right or the Islamist is right.
Right. It's what's like. Here's the thing. I have enough experience with it. If let's say the university would come to those students and ask them, it would take about 2 questions for them to confess that they did say it. Like that's my guess. Is like that they probably wouldn't. Do you think they would deny it? What do you think?
Well, yes, I think they would deny it because
Yeah.
when I've already gone to the admin and the medical faculty in the university, it's very serious. So I think they would deny it, and that kind of shows what types of persons we're dealing with. They always find
Yeah.
their way out, a safe
Yeah. Yeah.
place.
But yeah. No, I mean deny it in a sense that like you like they probably would deny like bullying you, but if you ask them about like Syria, then they wouldn't deny it. That's my
No, of
guess.
course
Like that's
not.
my
Yeah,
at least experience. It's like
yeah.
you can just ask them about like what do you think they think about Syria, and then they just tell you, and then you can deduce like that they probably did bully you just from that. But I guess that's too much work. It's just how do you like how do you feel? Is there anyone who understands you at school, like your friends, somebody who gets it?
No, not really, because as I mentioned before, the ones who haven't experienced it, the ones, for example, take October 7th, for example, the ones that lost someone, or even is a regular Israeli, was moved. All the Jewish people around the world was moved, and the massacre had an impact on them, because it's equivalent to losing your sister and your brother. You know, you're from the same community, from the same origin, you can say. So everyone
Yeah.
who's outside that aren't capable of understanding.
But like trying to,
Not that much, actually, not that
because
much. And
yeah.
I think for the other students, or generally Norwegians here, are very scared to seem Islamophobics or racists if they side with me, side with the Jews, or even just claim that the massacre going on in Sweden or what's happening in Syria, the situation is wrong, because then you're directly sort of against Islam, or having, the Islam rise more than it is now in the Middle East. That's how they understand it.
Were you in school when you lost your brother?
No, it was in the summer break, actually.
Okay.
Um, and that's, but the first incident, or when they first tried to get into Sweden, because ever since Assad's fall last year, all the minorities have been in danger. So first they went towards the Alawites, did a massacre there, aren't finished with them yet, are still killing lots of Alawites, and then the Christians around Syria, and then in May they came into Sweden. That was the first time they entered, and then I was at school. And I tried to talk about it with my friends or my teacher, but no one listened. And whenever I
Yeah.
brought this topic into the conversation, people were like, yeah, but you went to Israel, you went to Israel with help, you're standing for genocide, you're committing the genocide in Gaza.
Was that
So
the reaction for losing your brother?
that yeah, I'm talking about when they first entered in May, but that same reaction, yeah, I did get when I talked about what happened.
Like, I don't know how much matters, but I understand. Like, we here understand that. Because in the end of the day, like, what shocked us the most on October 7th was seeing our friends. When I saw the dance partners, it was like an international group, saying that one of the dance mates, she was a hostage she was taken hostage to Gaza. And their reaction was, okay, but it's complicated. And that was their teammate. And it's at that point, it's like, when you fight against Islam, it's awful, but it's kind of, it's a monster that you can, it's a monster that is clearly a monster that you can see and like define. But
But
when,
yeah,
yeah,
but why, if it's so clear that it's a monster? I'm not saying it's every Muslim, okay? Because there
well,
are
yeah,
some good Muslims, but
yeah,
here and
those who
there.
can't read, yeah, I know. That's
But
my always my, yeah.
yeah, but every time something this awful, something this, demonic happens, every time a genocide or a massacre occurs, take Nigeria, for example, Ethiopia, Syria, Iraq with the Assyrians, every time there is a Muslim standing behind it. And we can't neglect that fact. And
Yeah, but
that's when I
yeah.
start to wonder, why do we keep, sort of a blanket on our face and refuse to state that fact?
I think it's time we don't, because maybe if we act like leaders, the sheep will follow.
Yeah, really. But yeah, it's sort. Yeah, I get it every time I talk about this and try to find an answer and right answer for why everyone is so passive and refuse to do
But
something.
it's like you can be passive and show decency, like decent, because I've seen that. Can I? I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
No,
Because when
it's okay.
I saw it with the hostages, all right. I saw it the difference between European friends of the hostage that were taken. The difference between the 20-year-olds and the 40-year-olds was my biggest shocker, because the 40-year-old were cowards, but they were sad that their
Yeah,
friend was taken, all right, or they showed empathy, and the 20-year-olds didn't even show empathy. It's not only that they wouldn't like share or publish or anything, it's just that even behind closed doors there was no hug, there was no whatever is wrong with the world, like losing a family member hurts,
yeah,
right? Just give a hug,
of
like whatever,
course.
like don't ask questions.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah,
And
just show sympathy. You don't need to, go out in the streets
right.
and chant for the free Sweda or, stop the massacres of the minorities, but just show support and show me that you're a decent human that,
Right.
you know,
And I want to
has
take
a
that
bit of
to the extreme
humanity.
so that the Europeans understand. Let's say that person, somebody, okay, let's say I have a friend and her brother decided to be a suicide bomber and she lost him for it. That doesn't mean she doesn't deserve a hug, okay? I'd take it to that extreme because let's say like if she comes and like search like looks for a hug from you, right, or shares it with you, it doesn't necessarily mean that like she wanted her brother to do that. And the tragedy is there, like you can love someone and they can be awful, and then it's something you always carry with you, like no matter, and it keeps hurting, and but you always have hope, but then when somebody chooses to do something like that, then there is no hope. So
Yeah.
people deserve that empathy anyway, right?
Yeah, of
Like
course, because
especially
they're
if they're
not the
your,
same
yeah,
person.
exactly. And it hurts no matter like who was, like no matter what the situation, if those
Mm.
are your people that you had decided that they are your friends or you're with or whatever, or it's like, or just on a personal basis, like human basis, there
Yeah,
is no excuse. I just want to make it so clear that take it to whatever extreme, it's not okay.
I know. And what many of the Druze here in Norway experienced after the massacre is that several of, for example, for me and my family, we had some Syrian friends, they were Sunnis. And after the massacre in Sweda, they blamed us for it. First of all, they standed with the Syrian government or the regime and stopped talking to us, attacked us, not physically, but with the words, and yeah, just lost contact with them.
Yeah, and can you repeat for a sec? Because oh, somebody saying that somebody wrote that there is a problem with my mic, and I
Mm.
focused on that for a sec, and I'm so sorry, but
No,
I
it's okay.
just uh, just like the again, just like the last thing that you like about your friends, right? Are you
Yeah,
are you comfortable talking about that? Like,
yeah, of course, it's
yeah,
important. No one else is talking about it, so
yeah,
it's a must. Anyways, we had some Syrian friends, Sunnis. Um, and after the massacre in Sweda happened in the summer, they blamed us, the Jews, for being traitors and going to the ultimate kuffar or enemies, which is Israel in their eyes. And they either stopped talking to us or blamed us for the massacre, even though they were their, the ones they're standing with that committed these crimes, and basically just lost contact with them.
Yeah.
Because we're Jews, not because I was starting to think, okay, it's politically, because we're against Al Julani, we're standing with Hikmet al Hajari, we're standing with Israel. But it's not because of that. It's never been about anything political. It's about your ethnicity, the religion you follow, and the fact that you're not Muslim. Because not only did our Syrian friends, or my Syrian Sunni friends, sort of not betray me, but just cut me off, but also other regular Muslims from outside the Syrian nation. People
Right.
who have been living their whole life here in Norway, who's basically not a foreigner anymore, almost equal to an ethnic Norwegian. Those kind of people, because deep down, even though they don't show it, they see me, their friends who have been friends with them for 2 or 3 or 5 years, as a traitor, as a dirty pig, as a kafir.
Right. And your Norwegians, a friend.
The ethnic Norwegians, they're still my friends. They don't side. But because my like when the things in Israel started happening, I standed with Israel, and especially now, I started posting a lot of things about Israel. I stand with Israel and the things that happened, and all the documentation of the proofs from the Hamas tunnels and all of what they did. And a lot of them, which were obviously pro-Palestinians or pro-Palestine, cut me off as well.
Right.
So they can't for those type of friends, they can't separate the two things, separate friendship and separate a political or a personal meaning. But there are still some left, obviously. But it's hard, and it hurts that to see that only because of my ethnicity, only because I'm a Jew, I'm being seen as dirty, or as someone who shouldn't be in contact with.
And to your Norwegian friends, like, did you need to explain the situation where, oh, listen, we just didn't have a choice, but like, if it wasn't for Israel, like, did you find yourself like needing to apologize?
Well, yeah, sometimes actually, but I got tired of apologizing, just like many Israelis, tired of
Yeah.
apologizing, of having a country, of being an Israeli. Um, but the thing is that I got sort of, attacked, or they attacked me in a way, not just because I stood with Israel, because they stood with us, the Jews in Sweden, but because I stood with them in the war in Gaza.
Right. Like
I tried
before
to,
the.
yeah, I tried to explain why Israel is doing this and the
Mhm.
hostages, but no one would listen, and when they helped or saved, honestly, the Jews and Christians in Sweden, I even talked about Israel more openly.
Right.
Because it's sort of dangerous to talk about Israel or being a friend of Israel here in Norway. You get physically attacked, and God knows what they're capable of. So I tried to explain, but nevertheless, they wouldn't listen, and I got tired of apologizing, which I did in the beginning. So I'm just stating the facts as it is.
So why did you support Israel before Assad? Like, it sounds like you supported Israel before the Assad regime fell, right?
Yeah.
So
So because
why take that? Like, why take the risk yourself like that?
yeah, basically because first of all, when I saw the news and saw the things that started to happen in Gaza, I did question it. I did question Israel because and that's the shocking part, because the propaganda the Norwegian news started to promote did get a lot of people and me at the beginning to realize and say, okay, this is crimes, this is massacre, in Gaza. I didn't say genocide though, but okay, what's happening? Why is Israel doing this? Are they trying to eliminate the Palestinians and all that stuff? But then I did question it because I have a lot of Jewish friends, and throughout my childhood, my mom and family always told me stories about what they would experience in Syria. For example, she told me one time or several times when she was in elementary school, they had this, and still have, by the way, this book called The Jewish Zionist Enemy, you know? So from the Syrians' childhood, they tried to braid in this Islamic propaganda against the Jews. So, for when the child grows older, it would see the Jew as the ultimate enemy, which needs to be eliminated.
Right.
So, but obviously, it's different for the Druze and Christian community. I'm not saying this because I'm a Druze and I'm biased, but because it's true. It doesn't say in our holy book that we need to kill the Jews or that we can't tolerate them or that they must be eliminated, like it does in the
Mhm.
Quran, literally. So we have this other kind of understanding of who, and the true understanding of who the Jews are, and that there are friends. And when my mom started talking about the Druze history and how related it is to the Jews, I didn't fall for the Norwegian or the Arabic or the world's propaganda about Israel being an apartheid state trying to eliminate all the Muslims or all the Palestinians. And that's when I dug deeper into the sort of conflict or what happened, and received a lot of footage from October 7th from some of my friends in Israel, and
Right.
saw what Hamas did, and saw that Hamas is equivalent to ISIS, to HTS, Al Nusra, Al Qaeda. It's all the same. And that's when it hit me, and that's when it turned me around.
And now I'm gonna ask a very similar question, but now it's gonna be, on when the situation with Sweden happened, and I think it was, who was it? Was it Marco Rubio, when he said, "Oh, it's a Bedouins fighting the Druze"? It's like that, and what I said back then. I was like, "Oh, now I understand what it felt like to be friends with the Jews without being Jewish." Like what it is like. Not as, like I said, like I didn't think I'd be in a situation where I was in that. I don't, like, I get all the fake news, and I'm not Druze, so where do I stand, right? And
Really?
it's like, but like it took me about 2 minutes to be like, wait, I know the
This is
people.
not true. Yeah.
It was easy, but for the entirety of 2 minutes, I understood. Like I can understand your confusion. I was like,
Yeah, of
oh,
course
that is how it feels.
they make you
But how
question everything.
exactly? And I was
Yeah.
like, I caught myself questioning. I was like, who am I? Like two
Yeah,
minutes
I
later,
know,
and
I know.
but it humbled me because it made me
Mm.
understand like what it humbled me to,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you tell your stories, like you say, like you got confused in the beginning, like the moment, like when that happened, I was like, it's so important to have like those moments where you're like humbled, when you're
Yeah,
like,
I
okay, I
know.
understand now how it can affect someone.
Of course. And I think it
Yeah.
helped that from that time and from many years ago, I've had friends in Israel and Jewish friends. So that
Right.
helped me as well, okay,
Yeah.
like you said, for 2 minutes, who are this? You're like, is this apartheid? And
Yeah.
not in that scale, of course, but you get the irony. But because I've had some insight in the community in Israel, I know for sure that it's all it's all a big lie, the
Right.
propaganda. But the dangerous part is that because Al Jazeera and all the Arabic news channels, we know how dirty they are and how they love to promote Islamism and terrorism straight up. But the most dangerous part is that the Norwegian and European channels did so indirectly as well,
Right.
you know?
So I kind of wonder, like, how was it for you when you saw the situation, then you saw the media reaction and like the way even like the White House reacted and how it was like, you
In
know,
Sweden or in with the Gaza war.
like Sweden, obviously, Sweden, not Gaza, Sweden.
Well, the problem is that there weren't reactions at all because, the news,
Mm.
for example, haven't talked about Sweden only just once. And when
Right.
they talked, they brought in a journalist, which I think maybe you know him or heard of him. His name is Yama. He's from Afghanistan originally. He's covering, the cases from the Middle East. And then he said it's a clashes between the Bedouins and the Druze,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
just like you said. Makes you
Right.
question it. And this is coming from from Norway, like a country which is supposed to promote and rise the values of democracy, equity, and freedom, and equal rights, and human rights. And then we
Mm-hmm.
see that, obviously, because we've sent them hundreds of footages of the woman getting raped, of the elderly getting beheaded, the civilians getting forced to jump off their balconies and executed in that way. And we sent them all of that, and still they chose to put an Islamist as a journalist, where he could say that, okay, it's not because of the new regime, it's not because of a political ideology, it's because it was a fight between two
Right.
groups, the Bedouins and the Druze. Didn't mention that the Bedouins started to open fire on civilians in Sweden. Didn't mention that the so-called regime was supposed to come in and solve the supposedly conflict between the Bedouins and the Druze, and that they ended up killing over 4,000 Christians and Druze in 5 days and burning the whole city to the ground, and didn't talk about the 120,000 people who got driven away from their homes and are now living in public buildings like schools where there's only one bathroom. In the aftermath, and after the massacre, and until today, they haven't talked anything or covered anything, even though there's live proof. We're here, we're trying to tell them, but they just neglect it. Why? Because it's not trendy enough, you know? For the world, not only Norway, it's only trendy to be against Israel, against the Jew, and be pro Islam, pro jihad in one way or another.
Do you
And
think
especially that
it's?
one, yeah, sorry.
I just saw like what's the name? Something Ibrahim, which I knew. He is a Coptic Egyptian, and
Yeah,
he said like one of the biggest lies that is being sold to us is that is like anti-Islam is equivalent to loving Jews and vice versa. But I honestly think that it is exactly that, and he's just like if you cannot do both. Honestly, like that's
no,
my thought.
yeah, I
But
know, and I
yeah, right.
and I I think the same, because even though you're not one of those Muslims who go out and kill and slaughter and rape, you still have that thought, even though you don't say it, because I've talked to many Muslims, about, for example, the massacre that happened to the
Mm.
Alawites. I talked about them, but they were like sort of trying to tell me, but they're not Muslims and we need to kill them. Even though they didn't say it, but they hinted at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, because they were first saying that, yeah, but Bashar al-Assad was Alawi and the Alawites
Yeah.
got privileges in Syria, which is not true at all, by the way. Many people from the Alawite communities got killed because they were against Assad. And then they start to say stuff like that, and I was like, no, they're not, and tried to explain. And then they sort of hinted at, okay, but they deserved it anyway. Okay, but why did they deserve it? Just because they're
Yeah.
Alawites? Just because they're kuffars in your eyes? But one interesting thing that I want to go back to is, why isn't this getting enough attention in the media? Not about the
Mm-hmm.
Jews only, but the Alawites, the Christians. Norway or
Right.
most of Europe are Christians. Why isn't it getting attention when their brothers and sisters are getting killed and persecuted? The answer to that is because it's not trendy enough. Because I remember when October 7th happened and the war in Gaza started, everyone was pro Palestine, obviously, and was against the Jews. But the politicians didn't start to act before it got trendy enough
Mm-hmm.
for their own cases. So that's one important thing as well. Being trendy or not. Is it trendy to stand up for a whole community who's on the edge of being extinct, like the Druze or the Alawites? Or is it more trendy to be with the majority of the people? And unfortunately, throughout history, we've learned that the majority is often the one after the minority. And the
Right.
minority is often the victim, the one that has a good heart, that is right in the case or the situation.
And I watched your interview with Dinesh Peter, and at
Mm,
some point they asked you about like what, like doesn't like Trump know, and you were like had like this empathetic like not saying anything comment,
yeah. Really, because
and I was like starting, I was like, oh my god.
mm, yeah,
It's
sometimes you
like
even
it's like
question yourself.
it's like look, it's like you see this beautiful like cute like good intention Americans, and it's like I hate being in that position where it's like, ca- am I about like to take away like his a little bit of naivete or whatever it
Really,
is?
yeah.
I don't know. It just like he's so nice. He wants to help. It's like they knew, they knew,
Yes, of course they knew, and they
they
still
knew,
know,
they
but
knew.
it doesn't
Yeah,
benefit them,
yeah, exactly.
you know.
Uh,
So, for example, Trump, there's a lot of things that he stands for, not everything, but that I stand for as well.
right.
But, but, and that's why it's so shocking to see that, he promotes this kind of indirectly terrorism, or stands for it to benefit him. And I can't blame him. Everyone is selfish. Everyone wants to do the thing that benefits you. But is it possible to be that blind and not see that the currently rising caliphate in Syria is going to hurt the US and hurt him? And seeing that the president sort of justifies or nods his head to the things that are happening in Syria, for the Syrian American citizens, that gives them approval to commit this sort of crimes against the minorities from Syria in the US, and commit their jihad games in the US as well. Or take,
I
for
think
example, the things we talked about with Mansour. that the
Yeah.
US soldiers got killed because of Trump's. It is because of Trump, because he's let it come this far. You know, for me,
Yeah,
I
there
see
is.
that if he set a stop line for Al Jolani, and had this sort of, was a bit strict with him, and
Yeah.
set his foot in front of Al Jolani and said no to this, no to this, and no to this, the attack or the suicide killing that happened today wouldn't have taken place. It would have taken place in any other place in Syria. They do this
Yeah.
terrorism and the attacks on a daily basis. But I don't think that the soldiers would have died if it wasn't for Trump.
Yeah, it's just. It's there is a fear of truth. You know. Okay, let me go through several super chats, but before I do that, is there anything else you'd like to share before we read some super chats here?
Well, maybe just what you mentioned in the beginning, to fight, to encourage
We have to
the
fight.
ones watching to fight, to stand up for right. Okay, you can be passive, but at least show support, or just share a video, talk about it online, talk about it with your friends, spread the information. That's one thing that the pro-Palestinians did, that they actually spread the word. They spread a lot of misinformation that we're not going to do, but let's spread it. Let's spread the information, the videos, the horrific things that happened, to let the people know, and for once in a lifetime get the majority to stand for what's right and fight the ones doing these crimes.
In your real life in university, did you spot 1%, 2% that would fight with you if they were given the tools?
Well, the only ones that would have a fight and did fight was my brother, but he's gone now. And that's why I need to keep fighting along with my sister and my family. And Mansour, for example, those are such important figures, like Mansour, like you, like activists, like influencers. Even though they're not fighting physically and protecting the province of Suera physically, you're fighting with words. You're fighting with your soul, for example. That's fighting
Yeah,
as
I'm
well.
just. What about okay? You know what? I'll talk to you later on, because people that follow this channel know that I'm working on having a network of people who would fight back, and
Yeah,
you can
that's so
find them in
important.
very interesting places. Like we have professors that they cannot say anything publicly, but there are little things that you can do to change the tide.
Yes,
if
of course.
you know what to do. So we can do that later on, behind the scenes. But everybody else that wants to do that as well, just ping me, join the Discord, talk to me, because and let me go through super chats. It's super important, and
Of course.
and I hope people here understand that we have to fight back. And the reason that they won was that because they went from door to door to door, gathering one ally at a time until they turned to be a majority, and it's time for us to do it as well.
Yes.
So please, everybody's join the Discord server, and there is a segment there, like a form there where I explain exactly how to do that, and just ask me questions there as well, so that I can reach out to you and explain what you could do in your environment to fight back. Because there are so many small things that are happening to make it happen. So this is a very sophisticated brainwashing mechanisms that they apply on every, it's not for no reason that there is no empathy, right? You have to do something to take it away from people, so that even if there is something that hurts their friend, that they wouldn't be able to hug them, that means that something was already it's a brainwashing mechanism that already entered the West, where they cannot even, they go against like human nature as well, right? You don't just turn into a monster that does what the Islamist does, but they like they're born into families that are already broken. But to bring it to a place that isn't broken, there are tactics to do that, which people shouldn't be familiar with. And you'd be surprised what things that you think are unrelated are actually something that was done to make sure that this is where the situation we're at. And the other reason I say it, Yara, I just want you to know it's like it's not you. And it's like it's not that, in a sense, like there is a reason why the 40-year-olds show empathy and the 20-year-olds don't, even if they have the same fears. There is a brainwashing mechanism that entered the West that is way beyond media,
Of course.
to make sure people don't show empathy, which is
Yeah.
devastating. But it's so important that people understand that if you want to fight back, because we don't have a choice and we all have to fight back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go through the couple of super chats real quick. I don't understand a word here.
He's saying thank you so much, Yara and Mansour, that you went on Henrik Beckheim's podcast. He's a Norwegian Jew. And thank you, Yara, for standing up. And Norway needs more like you. Thank you, Uncle
100.
Coping. That's really nice of you. I really appreciate that. Tusen hjertelig takk for at du ser på.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was in Norway.
Thank you, Nicole Coping.
Norwegian.
Here, I saw that it is breaking news. At least 2 confirmed dead in U.S. news. I don't know what's going to happen with Venezuela cracking off too. Americans are being distracted. The distraction is the tactic. Yes, it is the tactic. People are,
of course, yeah,
just like generating this idiotic drama when you have like real world problems. And I also think because it's more fun, it's more tabloid, and people don't have to think too hard. The only person I'm seeing right now that like in the at least like in the economy side, even though I dislike his like not complete perfect participation in the geopolitical side, is Ben Shapiro. So on Ben Shapiro breaks the economic things down, saying like what needs to be said, like the truth.
Yeah.
But it's not as popular as when you talk about like
no.
But it's
lies,
so credible,
basically, or drama.
All right.
Yeah.
But yes, it's time for us to leave the comfort zone in general. Otherwise, it's gonna be everywhere, and it's already everywhere. So it's just to open your eyes.
Literally.
Literally. And yeah. All right. The West and the Anglosphere, and yeah. Here is Shana also saying the West and the Anglosphere are brainwashed to think everyone has a good motive underneath, in it, even if they're engaging in evil. It takes a lot of to reprogram your brain to the truth. Here's the thing. If it were true, this is why I disagree with Gatsad's suicidal empathy theory. I disagree. I think people are suicidal and they use empathy as an excuse for them being suicidal, and not that they're being empathetic and then to the degree that they're suicidal. The reason I say it is because if it is true that people are brainwashed to think that everybody has a good motive underneath, there wouldn't be a reason why Yara or I wouldn't be getting treated in like our receiving empathy, right? Because like, why wouldn't we? Like, if everyone has a good motive underneath, like, why wouldn't us be also allowed to have that, right? To be treated that way as well, right? And receive the empathy that the Muslims get, but we don't. So it's not true. It's not that people were brainwashed to think that everybody has a good motive underneath. It's that people are brainwashed to be evil, and then they use empathy as their excuse to be evil. And they know, like, so this is why, like, at some point when I was like got sad with all my appreciation to him, it's not suicidal empathy, because empathy is absolutely not something that motivates them, even not a little bit. I don't buy it at all. At all. That's my 2 cents on it. And
no, I agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. And there is an invisible civil war between Vance and Rubio about foreign policy. Vance is an isolationist and doesn't come from survivors of communism. Oh, well, there is a war, there is a civil war on the right everywhere about foreign policy. I heard it's true even in Europe, in a sense, right? Like there are a lot of like right wingers that they're supposedly against Islam, but it's not like they're smart geopolitically at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
No, they're not. Well, many of them are against Islam in Europe, but in an indirect way. You know, they can't openly say it, but are against Islamism and terrorism and the
Yeah,
jihadism, but sort of doesn't think outside the borders. You know, only in their country. So it doesn't see it as a problem in Europe or a problem in the Middle East, only in other continents, only in their country.
right. It's also true in Israel for some people. Like, there is like this funny, whatever funny, supposedly funny account on X, and she added posts where like, I don't know what's going on in Syria, and honestly, I don't care. And then I commented that, why are you so proud to be an idiot? Like, why is it something like you being ignorant? Why are you proud to be ignorant? That's the. And then after that, she was like, okay, fine. I deleted this comment because like I got bullied. And then everybody like, who bullied you? And I was like, I did. I was the only one, and that made her delete it. Like I literally was like, everybody else was like, okay, like or whatever. But I was like, what a
Yeah,
I was like,
really.
"What are we proud of it?" And she deleted it,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Yeah, I was the bully."
But you know, a fact that I rather be a right wing or stand with the political party on the right because
Right.
they at least want to keep the Islamism and the Sharia law that is currently growing in Norway and in Europe out of the country. You know, and that's a
Yeah,
start. At least we
that's
need to start
something.
somewhere.
Yeah.
We can't start, you know, international and fight Islamism
Yeah, it's also
international.
like beyond the scope of Norway
Yeah,
right now. They can
yeah,
barely like keep up with the inside.
yeah. Basically, so you need to fight the terrorism inside the country first, and then go outside.
Right. And here's a super sticker. Thank you, Bela Galactic. I have no idea. Thank you for the super sticker, which I don't know what it is. Unfortunately, it doesn't show. And Psychic Volume 1. Thank you. Rebecca and Yara speak common sense. Thank you. Yes, we do, especially Yara here,
Both of
which is
us.
amazing that you are so strong. Like,
Thank you.
like I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna speak for you for a second, but like for me, one of the reasons I feel like I can do it rather neutrally is that I don't feel like I am like once removed. Even if like October 7th and everything, like I lost friends, I lost whatever, but it's nobody that was like as close as a brother to me. And I was like, but like me, the way I feel is like if somebody like gaslighted me or belittled my feelings, if I had went through what you have went through, I would be. I don't know how you can stand up and like speak and not like it's so amazing to me because I
Thank
can
you.
imagine just the feeling of you being attacked when you lost, right, and you're like under existential threat, and then getting gaslit the way, like, I'm so sorry, but even like, you know what, I'm gonna say it differently. I don't need to lose anyone. Even the fact that I live in Israel it makes it easier for me, because if I wasn't in because I was not outside of Israel, and if it was like when I'm outside of Israel and in a European setting or like a whatever setting, I don't know how you can deal with, like, I don't like, it's such I mean, I'm just admiring. Okay, fine, I'll just say
Thank
I'm
you.
admiring the
And thank you. No, that
the
really means a
strength, let's
lot.
say,
But
because
what kind of person would I be if I see that no one is standing up for my community? What kind of person would I be if I wouldn't be the one standing up for them?
right,
And I always think if I don't do anything or if I haven't done anything, what would my brother think of that? You know, I know he wouldn't get mad at me because he never did, but I owe it to him to stand
Right.
up and to continue what he started. And I owe it to Sweda, even though I've never been there or lived there or weren't born there, but I owe it to my people. I owe it to my sisters and my brother, those who have been killed in Sweden, and those who are still in captivity by the government, which are 700, by the way. I owe it to them. They're my family as well. And I owe it
You
to
know,
the Alawites and the Kurds and the Christians, everyone. I even try to, first of all, expose who's doing this, but not only my community, because they're all experiencing the same. Take, for example, the Christians in Nigeria, the Jews
right.
in Europe. So
You know, there is
they owe
a
it.
part, Yom Kippur is like when you ask for, forgiveness. There is a part that talks about when we had the people that were holding off the gates, we weren't thankful. And we didn't show any gratitude to them. And then they were gone. And so the gates opened and the flood came in. And it all because we couldn't say thank you and understand. It's so easy to blame them instead of
Course.
understanding like their
Yeah.
job. And it's like so there is this deep regret of not standing with
Yes,
those
of
who held the
course.
gates.
And that's
So for
what,
me, a person like you, like who chooses to not reach to that point of the regret in the prayer, which I
yes,
felt like that was like an awful one. It's like there were heroes
yes,
that
of
we
course.
couldn't say thank you to. We didn't
Yeah.
appreciate them, and they were gone. And now we're left alone with our cowardness. That's the.
No, but
But
it's
it's like,
true and it's
but if
deep
we're
as well.
yeah, but if we're all left alone with our cowardness, maybe it's time for us to not be cowards anymore because we
Yeah,
don't
to
have
be
a
the
choice anymore.
coordinators. Yeah. And for example, I think about the future when hopefully Sweden will become independent or even better a part of Israel, which all of Sweden wishes for. You see, for example,
Mhm.
everywhere in Sweden, the Israeli flag, only people demonstrating for
We
Israel.
say it and we love you.
Ye- Yeah. So when I think
And we're
about the
working.
future,
Israel needs to be more independent for it to happen, unfortunately.
yeah, of
You
course.
know,
But when I think about myself in the future, and okay, I'm in the future and see back to what happened, and just the thought of me not doing anything or the past me not doing
exactly.
anything would be absurd. I can't even think about it or imagine it because what does it say about me as a person?
100. I know, right? Like, thank you. I love it. Thank you. Thank
No,
you
of
so much.
course.
And I know it's you just started and you're 19.
Yeah,
But
yeah. But that doesn't matter, as long as you start someplace, doesn't matter how old are you, me, compared to politicians or, academic people, it's
you need to
embarrassing
be
to
like,
compare me to them because I'm so much smarter than them. Not to brag
you
or
know,
anything, but in the way that they see the conflict or the situation, you think, how can a 19-year-old medical student know better than professors and politicians?
because you accept reality. That's like such a difficult like psychological thing to do, just to accept reality,
Yeah.
just to accept it as is. And it's so important because it needs to be as is. Because if you see only, like if you see the ugly, the darkness, you wouldn't fight because you would be like, okay, you don't see the light. The people who are like people like you. That's like why I'm doing this, because I want to find people like Yara. And like if it wasn't for the Jewish side as well, right? Like fighting for Sweden. We might have had a different story, and I felt that because I was the one who woke Mansour up and everybody, when it was happening. Like and Mansour specific, I don't remember exactly, but I woke a lot of people up.
Yeah,
You know,
about
and
Sweden.
yeah, when it
Yeah, and we
happened.
really, everyone in Sweden is so, and me as well, I'm eternal grateful to people like you, to Israel, to the Jewish community, not just in Israel or the Jews, but around the world. The ones actually standing up for the Jews are the Jews and Kurds and all that stuff. But from the more outside, it is the Jews only. For example, now in the U.S., the Jewish community have been hanging up, posters on bridges and across the streets saying the Jews stands with the Jews. No,
Yeah,
that's real support.
yeah. But so here's the thing, right? So the entirety, like to see things as they are, as is. It's even like when people came to me and said, okay, but like so many of the Druze were against Israel. And you know what I told Mansour, like on live, I told him, like, that doesn't matter. They need us. And by us being there with them, then I say, what's the difference between why I think it's different than the Muslims? I said, easy, because they can say thank you. And
Of
that makes the
course.
entire difference. And I
Yeah.
said, it doesn't matter what they think of us right now. And I said, like, we weren't perfect either. But if we stand up, and that's like, because what I said, like, I don't care what the Druze think about Israel. Sometimes you need to be able to do something because it's the right
Yes.
thing to do. And you need
Of
to
course.
see people know how to say thank you.
Yeah. That's
Because if
super important.
so important. So it's
Yeah.
so important to see things as they are. Because those
Yeah.
who can say thank you are worth saving.
Mm,
But you also need to know who is it that can say thank you.
of
Because there
course.
are
Yeah.
people, and we all know them, that no matter how much you give to them, they will
They
never
don't
thank
say thank you.
you, ever.
No, of course not. And there's also one thing
And I want to say
I
thank
need to
you to
clarify.
you and
Yeah.
your brother, because you being there in Sweden, right? And which is also the other things I tell to Israelis, you idiots, to Israelis that I got angry with. I said, these people, they're getting slaughtered for you. And you need to understand that. You owe
Yeah.
them your
Wow.
life.
Wow. That's so. I'm speechless.
So I want to say thank
It's
you as
really
well.
good.
And your
No,
brother.
thank you. He would be grateful to you and
I'm
to
grateful
everyone
to
else.
him.
Yeah. Thank you. That's really important. And one thing I just need to clarify, just that people know, we talked a lot about propaganda, and how they use their ideology to brainwash everyone. But one thing that I need to clarify is that everyone thought that, or the Muslims in Syria, you can say it, forced every Syrian citizen, like the Christians, the Alawites, the Shias, the Sunnis, the Kurds, the Jews, to hate Israel. So the Jews, which I've talked to in my family and many from Sweden, have always had this good relationship with the Jews in Israel and didn't actually hate Israel or the Jews, but they needed to seem like they hated them. Or else, the Syrian government and the Arabic countries have a long history of persecution and, killing and slaughtering everyone who's against them and against their rules. So that's why everyone thinks that, or many people from Israel and around the world think that the Druze actually don't like Israel or don't like the Jews, but that's not true, because we needed to
For the
seem
record,
like
like, I
that.
kind of believe that when it comes to the Lebanese Druze.
The Lebanese Druze.
And like I think it's like more of a 50-50 there, you know.
Yeah, probably, but for my community in Square, it's like this. So
Mm,
they're always been doing this and trying to uh, hide the truth. For example, now in Syria, you can go and see, Christians demonstrating for Al-Jilani and saying that they like him, but behind the curtains, what they're doing is threatening their family and
right.
threatening their lives and tell them or enforcing them to go out and demonstrate for Al-Jilani. And they're doing that with the Druze as well in Idlib and in Jaramana, forcing them to go out and demonstrate, which is absurd because how can you see a priest demonstrating with people carrying the ISIS flag and screaming Allahu Akbar?
Yeah.
But that's
I
their
thought in Idlib,
tactics.
I thought in Idlib they already forced everyone to convert to Islam.
Yeah, they did to the Druze there.
Yeah, I
Or
heard
they
that they are
forced
like,
them to either convert or to say that they're Muslims, basically, because they're trying to erase the Jews' history, saying that the Jews emerged from Islam or is Muslims, which they're not, by the way.
well, let's, yeah, I mean, it's the other thing. It's that a lot of people like, okay, which I heard another somebody saying, which is not Israeli, but like somebody who's like pro-Israel. It's like we don't even know what the Druze believe in, and I say, you know what? It's not a. Here's the thing, right? Like, based on their behavior throughout history, if you exclude like the 1840 specific, but it's like it was like they even regretted that. But if you know what I'm speaking of, like, it doesn't matter. Like, but the like if you just look at their history, like they were always loyal to wherever they were, and there were never issues. So does it really matter? Like, do we really need to know what exactly they believe in? When it's like when history is like at some point it's like, you know what, like you don't need to, like with Islam you need to, because and it also matches their behavior, right? So because you have to understand that whoever learns Islam will become that. It doesn't matter who they are, even if they're European.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
like
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
book of darkness. So you need to understand what Islam is. And plus Muslims have like like, but like with the Druze, it's like, you know what, and because I think it's also important, it's like it doesn't matter what they believe, because you just can see how they act. And you can lie for a century, but you cannot lie for a millennia.
Yes, of course.
So it's another thing which I think is like important, which is, you know, it's like to know when you need to, because I understand, like you say, okay, Druze are not Muslims, like whatever, it doesn't matter, you can claim whatever you need to claim, as far as I'm concerned. Like you know it's secretive, I know it's secretive, that's good enough for me. And like, and plus history records. So
Yeah. Just, and also that they're civilians. They didn't do anything and got slaughtered for who they are. That in itself should be a trigger point for each and every person that has a bit of humanity in them to actually
mm,
do something and to act.
I think part of it is like people don't know what to do either.
Yeah, but then find the courage to find out how to do it or what to do, sort of.
Yeah, I agree.
But just watching YouTube videos like this helps as well.
I agree. I love, I was so excited about this talk with you, I'm not gonna lie. All right, Shauna, did you see the press release about Trump's foreign policy? If you get a chance, I'd love your thoughts. So this is what we were supposed to be doing with Uri the other day, but we both forgot what we were supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
because someone else like also had the same, I think, super chat. Like, and then we're like, okay, so we scheduled the live to go through the press release about the Trump foreign policy, and then we forgot what was the live about. Hopefully this time I'll remember.
Yeah.
There's a Shana throwing oil to the fire. South Syria should be Israeli. Ah, step by step.
I
think.
hope that one day in my lifetime.
Yeah. It's another thing, here's the like, how hypocritical they are. You know how many Muslims who got excited about the thought like that they would be able to get a work permit in Israel? And like in the 5 minutes where yeah, because the Israel wanted to give to the Druze in Sweden work permits in Israel.
Yeah.
And then they opened up a website, and then everybody who signed up were Muslim instead of
Yeah,
Druze.
I know. And they're
And then
don't
there's the relay was like, wait, this is for the Druze, not for the Muslims. Like, what are we supposed to be doing
I
now?
know. And don't be shocked if you find out that you open these sort of websites again and see that there are people claiming that they're Jews or
Yeah,
Alawites, in
but
which they're not.
it's the question is like, well, but why don't the Druze sign up? Like the Israelis were like, but because it was for, but whatever. And because I guess it's like complicated, or I don't know why. All right, so because like there was this thought, okay, let's bring people from the Druze from Syria
Yeah.
to work in Israel, because just the salary, like one day of working in Israel would be like a big difference,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
of course, and they can help their family back home. But also,
But then
many
it's like, yeah,
of the
it's weird.
people
Like,
in Sweden don't want to leave Sweden because if many leaves to Israel to Europe, there won't be an ethnicity of Sweden left.
oh
It
yeah,
will
no,
all
they
be
thought like
colonized by Islam.
be traveling.
To go back and forth, oh,
Yeah,
that would be smart. That would be
yeah,
great.
but then nobody signed up.
That's weird. Maybe they
I
didn't
know.
know about
The
it.
Muslims signed up and they were super excited about the thought. There were so many TikToks. Oh my God, you know how much money? Like, let's have peace with Israel. You know how much money we can make there. But the
Well,
moment they started
that's
going at again the
yeah.
Druze, and I talked to people in Syria, like those Sunni Muslims, they were so excited about the peace with Israel. They were like, yes, we want to be friends with Israel. The moment they started slaughtering the Druze and we went against it,
That's so
they're
weird.
like,
That's
oh, the
so
Druze. And I was like,
hypocrite.
those like hypocrites saying that the Druze are traitors. Oh, you guys were so excited about the thought that there would be
Really,
peace with Israel. They were so excited because it's
real.
so much
I'm
opportunity for them. And then, but the thing is, like when Israel said you don't touch the Druze, they were like, oh, you but like, oh, Israel wants to break Syria apart, like, and now and then they're like,
yeah.
okay, so Israel is the enemy. They're like, oh, and like the Druze are traitors. Oh yeah, 2 minutes ago you were so excited.
I know,
The
and
Druze are
these are the
traitors.
same people.
The
They're
same people.
traitors. And the funny thing is that, okay, they say that they openly want a relationship with Israel, or did say it, but behind the curtains, they're still screaming death to Israel.
Of course, they were just excited about the opportunity to get
Trinity,
like a
yeah,
little bit of better life,
to
which
benefit them, yeah.
yeah. But then, like, they realized like Israel wouldn't cooperate with their bullshit.
Yeah.
I was like, do you think we're stupid or what? Like, I don't get those idiots. Like, why are you arguing with them? It's so funny. It's funny because I also had like my Druze friend there, and she was like, "Oh, maybe they're good." I was like, "What are you saying? This Sunni guy is bullshitting." So
Really.
I'm like, "No, I'm arguing with them." Whatever. Anyway, thank you, Jesus is Lord. God bless you too. Thank you for sharing your story with us, Jara, and thank you for making these kinds of conversation possible through all your network. Yeah, you need to be everywhere, for sure.
I
Just
try
you
to
can.
be.
And you guys, just so you know, so if you want to hear the entire story, like all the atrocities, I was keeping it more like West oriented, West focused, and not like listing like all the um atrocities. I think, first of all, because in this channel, I kind of assume that people understand already that we need to fight Islam. It's like a axiom. But go and watch all the other interviews where Yaria was, because they're all amazing and it's always something different. So that's all I have to say. And thank you for staying for that long. It's been a while. Are you good?
No, thank you. It's my pleasure. No worries.
Everybody. Is there any closing words before we're gonna say good night to everyone?
Well, just want to thank you, first of all, for everything you're doing, for spreading the truth and standing up for my community. And also thanks to everybody who's been watching and commenting. You're also doing a lot of good just by watching these videos. So thank you all, and thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Yara, for bringing your light.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, good night. Bye.